Hello everyone, welcome to IS Baba's 60 Days Rapid Revision Series for Prelims 2022. This is day 44 and we have geography. We are concentrating on human geography now, and before going to that, we take up some of the guessworks. So, the question number 13, in the first quarter of 17th century, in which of the following was or were the factory or factories of the English East India Company located? So, I have said you friends, if you had read history as the chronological order in the first read, and then in the second read, if you had read about the geographical perspective of history, and in the third read, the administrative perspective, and in the fourth read, the art and culture perspective. So these questions would have been very easy, but still we try some guessworks. So here, the beginning or the first quarter of 17th century. So that means before 1625. So here, if you remember the Battle of Carnatic, then the Battle of Plassey and others. So all of them they took place in the 18th century. That is in the 1700s. Okay, so that is why we can assume that in the first half of 16th century, the English East India Company or the British, they never crossed the western coast. So here, whichever the places are in the west coast, so all of them we can take. So we had already discussed that Chikakol or Srikakulam, so that is not in the western coast, it is in the eastern coast. So Srikakulam, that is in Andhra Pradesh. And we eliminate two, so we are left with either one or three. And this Broach and Trichinopoly. So this Trichinopoly, friends, again that comes in the Battle of Carnatic. Okay, so the Battle of Trichinopoly and others. So hence we can eliminate that, and we are left with A. That is one only as the option. Then come to next. From the decline of Guptas until the rise of Harshavardhana in the early 7th century, which of the following kingdoms were holding power in North India? So again here the chronological order. If you had read it, so this would be the easy question. But still, if you go through the guesswork, say for example the Malwas, so here the Mewars, then Marwars and Malwas, so all these we have come across only during the Rajputs. And Rajputs, they came into existence only during the medieval India. They were not present in ancient India. So these Guptas and Harshavardhana, they were in the ancient India. So we can eliminate two. So if we eliminate that, only B and D are left with. And here we have 1, 3, 4 and 6 and 5 and 6. So if this comes, so again the options themselves, they will pave the way for the answer. Say for example, the Guptas of Magadha. So after Guptas of Magadha can come. After Chalukyas of Badami, Chalukyas of Kalyani can come. So likewise, the history says that the next dynasty will almost bear a similar name, because mostly they will be the heirs or the relatives who will come up and they will establish their own kingdoms. So hence one should always be there. So B will be the formidable option here. Then come to next. According to Portuguese writer Nunes, the women in Vijayanagara Empire were experts in which of the following areas? So friends, here think in the examiner's perspective. Actually, we don't have the Nunes book now. So whatever we have is the historians' write-ups, and historians might have written in various perspectives. And if we have 100 books of various historians, and in those 100 books, so several descriptions might have been there, and it is very difficult to prove that any one of these is not written by any of the historians. So it is very difficult to say that soothsaying is not at all present in any of the historians' books, and accounting is not at all present. So here the advantage of doubt. That means if you show to the UPSC that in any of the book, so this word is present, so UPSC will have to give the grace mark. But if UPSC has to prove that it is not present, it has to prove that in all the books, so it is absent. So that I call it as advantage of doubt. So if you go with that, so all of the above will be the answer. Don't worry about whatever is given in the history or not. So let the historians or history optional students, so let us decide that. So for us, we will go with the option D and move on. And here, even if it goes wrong, don't repent. So there is no remorse for this. It is like we are taking some calculated risk, and that is all we can do in this question. Then come to next. With reference to Madanapalay of Andhra Pradesh, which one of the following statement is correct? So here again purely history, and we have already discussed that it is present in NCERT. And going through the guessworks, friends, here Madanapalay, Palle or Andhra Pradesh. So we look into the names similar to Andhra Pradesh. So we will get Pingali Venkaya or the Patabi Sitaramaya as options. So we don't get the correct answer, the Rabindranath Tagore ones. So here, if you had taken the calculated risks, so either A or B, you would have attended. Okay. So even if you have left this question, no issues with that. or even if you had attempted A or B, no issues with that. But one thing I have to say is, like, for one question, don't change your guessing strategy. Okay, so we had said that by seeing the names of some of the places or some of the persons, we can take a crude guesswork. But here, that guesswork is leading us to a wrong option. But don't change your guessing strategy. Most of the times, they will help. And in one or two cases, even if they mislead, so that will not be a big issue. Okay, so here either you leave or hit A or B, either of them. Then come to next. Consider the following pairs. So historical places and well known for. So Burza home, rock shrines, and then Chandraketugar, terracotta art, and Ganeshwar. So copper artifacts. Friends, here in the NCRT I have the Ganeshwar Jodhpur culture. So if you have read it in the NCRTs, so 3 will always be the correct answer. And here we have only these two, that is C and D. So all your answer that box down to whether 2 is correct or not. So Chandraketugar, terracotta. Friends, here terracotta is made up of clay and clay is present everywhere. You cannot say that any civilization they didn't have the terracotta toys just because it is made up of mud. So that is why we include terracotta and go with 2 and 3 as the formidable option. And then come to next. Consider the following statements. It was during the reign of Iltutmish that Chengiz Khan reached the Indus in pursuit of fugitive Khawarizm prince. And it was during the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq that Timur occupied Multan and crossed the Indus. And it was during the reign of Devaraya II of Vijayanagara Empire that Vasco da Gama reached the coast of Kerala. So one thing we can take a guess from this question is like Muhammad bin Tughlaq was a famous ruler. And whenever a ruler is powerful and famous, so no foreign invaders try to invade. So it is wrong to say that Timur Lame, he invaded during Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So actually he invaded when Tughlaq dynasty was down and when Sayyids, so they were picking up. So in that context, 2 is wrong. So 1 or 3. So this will be the options. And here also 1 and 3 both are purely factual in nature. Friends, now this broke down to 50-50 type of question. And now here, if you had read a very basic history, so by any book for that matter, you will get to know that Devaraya II or Krishna Devaraya, he was during the medieval times. So that means mostly during the Bahmani kingdoms and others. And Vasco da Gama, he came during the 1498. So it was like the early medieval, not so late. So we can take a crude guess that Krishna Devaraya came much later. Or if you don't know that, even if you leave this question, no issues with that. So here we have some 2 to 3 questions wherein you could have left it, and you will leave it only if you have comfortably attempted more than 85 questions by now. And if you haven't attempted 85 questions, so make sure that you will take the risk in these questions. So you will leave this to the third round, that is the last round of attempt, and you will attempt this only if you have attempted some 80 plus or 85 questions. So that is the maximum we can do here. Then coming to the topics, sex ratio in India. The latest National Family Health Survey 5, that is the NFHS 5, has indicated positive growth in the sex ratio of India. So a good thing, and mark it as important. Then the number of women in India has surpassed the number of men, which is unprecedented. And now India has 1020 women for every 1000 men. And during the NFHS 3, the sex ratio was very equal, that is 1000 men and 1000 women. And later in NFHS 4, it actually declined, that is 991 women were there for every 1000 men. And here we have a statistic. So here the sex ratios, so overall sex ratio is being improving, but the child sex ratio, so that is being deteriorating. So what is the reason for this? Friends, if you have a strong reason in the statistics, so that will help you in taking up the guessworks. Say for example, the sex ratio at birth is decreasing because we have that son meta preference. Okay, and we also have the female foeticide, infanticide and others. But overall sex ratio if you consider, so it is equal because in the old age, so there are more chances of old people dying, and the grandmothers they usually survive for longer lives. So in that context, we can say the skew is happening. Then come to next, the sex ratio is better in rural areas compared to urban areas. So in rural areas, there is no so much of female foeticide and others, so hence it is normal there. Then the Union Territory of Dadra and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu had worst urban sex ratio, that is only 775 women per 1000 men. And Delhi had the worst rural sex ratio among all the states, so that is only 859 women. And remember Delhi, which is a metropolitan, so that is having the worst sex ratio in rural areas. Then the sex ratio at birth for the country was still in 929 females per males. So that is again the child sex ratio or the sex ratio at birth is in the worst direction. So we have to make sure that this should be improved. So this is a brief analysis of the sex ratio. Then come to next, literacy rate in India. So education in India as a part of 75th round of National Sample Survey, it says that overall literacy in India is 77.7%. So a great improvement, friends. So during the time of independence, we were somewhere around 20 or 22%. And in the urban areas, we have 87.7%, and in rural areas, 73.5%. So thereby averaging to 77%. Then male, the literacy rate for male is 84.7%, and for female it is 70.3%. Then the male literacy rate is higher than female literacy rate among all the states, with a considerable gap in the worst performing states. So in the worst performing states, the literacy gap is also huge. Then some of the best performing states are Kerala, Delhi, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh and Assam, and the worst performing states, so beginning from Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan, Bihar, Telangana and UP. So these are a few facts. Then coming to digital literacy rate, so 23% of urban households and 4% of rural households, they possess computer. So it is like the 23% and 4%. Look at the gap here. And then among the persons of age 15 to 29 years, nearly 56% in urban areas and 24% in rural areas were able to operate a computer. And in the same age group, nearly 25% in rural areas and 58% in urban areas reported the use of internet. So all these, friends, whenever you remember the statistics, so make sure that you remember the minimum pieces. So don't clog your brain with so much of data. So whatever I have given in the PPTs, so preserve them. It will be helpful for you for both mains as well as prelims. Then come to next, the migration. So here, according to census 2011, so rural to urban migration was 20.5 million, and rural to rural it is 53.3 million. Then urban to urban was 14.3, and urban to rural was 6.2. So again, reason your statistics. So friends, urban to rural migration is very less because we know that no one moves from urban to rural areas once they come out of rural areas. So again, this is less as natural as possible. And then urban to urban, so it was 14.3. So mostly this would be temporary. And then rural to rural, so this is maximum. Why it is so? So this is mainly because the female, they migrate from rural to rural in the aftermath of marriage. So the marital migration, that constitutes the maximum here. That is why this is highest in number. And then coming to the reasons, so here we can see 65.4%. So this is the maximum for the marital migrations, basically the females. And after that we have the education and then the work business and others. So these are a few facts. Then friends, here is one graph which I picked up from NCRTs. Here also we can see that is rural to rural migration is maximum for the females. So that is more than sufficient here. Then come to next, the reasons for migration. So here for the male, so work purpose, that is the main reason for migration, and for female it is the marriage. So as natural as that. And then come to next, some of the facts. Internal migrants as a percentage of population increased from 30% in 2001 to 37% in 2011. So in the last decade, so there has been an increase of 7 percentage points. Then out of the total internal migrants, 7% are women. So and marriage is one of the major reasons. So we have been seeing this from the last 3 slides. And then external migration. So as per International Organization for Migration, IOM, Global Migration Report 2020, so mark this report and the organization as important. And India continues to be the largest country of origin of international migrants with 17.5 billion strong diaspora across the world. So mark this, it continues to be the largest. Okay, so these are some of the facts. And here, mark those which are extreme or those which are awfully high, and then remember them. And all others, we can go with the gut feeling. Then come to next, the dependency ratio. The dependency ratio refers to the ratio of persons of ages under 15 years and over 64 years to the persons of age 15 to 64 years. So that means how many percentage of people are dependent on the working age population. So that is what we are analyzing. And here the persons below 15 years and above 64 years are defined dependent, while the persons between the age 15 to 64 are considered as economically productive beings. And India has more than 50% of its population below the age of 25 and more than 65 below the age of 35. That means we are in the mid of demographic dividend and we have maximum population in the working age. And in 2020, total dependency ratio, so that was 48.7. So still approximately 50% of the population. So they are in the depending age. And total dependency ratio of India fell gradually from 79 to 48.7. So from 1971 to 2020, we have been seeing a decrease in the dependency ratio from 97 basis points to the 48.7. So it will further reduce and after that it will peak. It will rise up again. So in Japan we can see the dependency ratio is increasing. So all these, if you remember the logic behind and the reasons behind, the statistics based questions will be easiest ones. Then come to next, the important highways. So friends, here we have to remember the north south east west corridor and the golden quadrilateral. And also remember in what places the north south east west corridors meet the golden quadrilateral. So here we can see from Srinagar to Kanyakumari, so north south corridor goes. And from Porbandar to Silchar, the east west corridor goes. And the meeting place of north south east west corridor is the place at Jhansi. So mark this and also remember the golden quadrilateral meets the north south east west corridor in places like for the first time in Delhi and again as it moves down in the Udaipur Chittorgarh region it meets again and then passing over Gandhinagar it comes down and near Bangalore and Hosur so again it meets and then going northwards so in Kanpur it meets again. So Kanpur and Sikandra region it is an overlap between the east corridor and the golden quadrilateral. And friends, 4 to 5 years back the numbers of highways have been changed and that we have to remember because in 2015 or 14 some questions have been asked to match the highway numbers and the highways destinations and after that the highway numbers have been changed and after the change has happened no questions have come. So if UPSC asks so we should be ready for that. And here is the new numbering and in this new numbering the horizontal highways they are numbered with the odd numbers and the vertical highways they are numbered with the even numbers. Say for example first highway is in Srinagar, again it is horizontal and then we have highway number 3 here, highway number 5. So likewise then 7 comes, then the 9 comes. So like this the odd numbers have the horizontal highways and the even numbers are the vertical highways. And in these try remembering the important ones and the longest ones. Say for example highway number 27, so that moves from one end of the nation to the other end. So likewise and we can also see the highway number 19 that also moves the same way. And even the vertical highways, say for example we have the highway number 44 here, so that goes down from Srinagar to the Kanyakumari. And we have the 48th highway that goes from Delhi to Ahmedabad and then down to Bengaluru. Okay, so try remembering the important ones and those highways which are nearer to your locality. So that is more than sufficient here. Then the NH1, so Jammu Kashmir, and then NH19, that is the Golden Quadrilateral. So that goes from Bihar, Delhi, Haryana, and others, and NH4, so Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So mark this, and then NH16. So again, it is Golden Quadrilateral. 48, a Golden Quadrilateral, and NH66. So it is parallel to Western Ghats. So likewise, some of the important ones. So we have brought it here. So make sure that even you also remember some important ones by marking them. Then come to next, the railway zones and their headquarters. Friends, again, the highway numbers and the highways that was being asked, but till now the railway questions were not being asked. So it is better to revise once and you need not give so much of importance. So one quick revision will be more than enough here. So here we have the Central Railway, Western Railways, then Western Central Railways and Konkan Railways. So the Konkan Railways we have here and then the Western Railways we can see here and then the Central Western Railways. So that is somewhere here and then the Western Railways, so somewhere around this region. So same way we have the Northern Railways. Northern Railways are given in pink, so this region, and then the North Central Railway, so near the Delhi Agra region, and then we have the Northeastern Railway, so that comes somewhere in this region, and then the Northwestern Railway, so in Rajasthan region, and then we have the Northeastern Frontier Railway, so that comes in the northeast, and then the Eastern Railway, so that is somewhere in the West Bengal region, and then East Central Railway, so in the Bihar Jharkhand region, and Southeastern Railway, so Odisha Jharkhand region, and in the eastern part, so we have the East Coastal Railway, so that comes somewhere in the Odisha region, and Southeast Central Railway, so that comes somewhere here in the Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh region. Then South Central Railway, so that comes somewhere in the Hyderabad region, and the Southwestern Railway, again the Karnataka Hyderabad region, the Hyderabad Karnataka we can say, and the Southern Railways, so here again in the southernmost regions. And coming to the headquarters, if you are well versed in the map works, so most of the headquarters you will already be knowing. So some of the important cities like Mumbai, Kolkata, then Hajipur, Bhubaneswar, then Baroda, Allahabad, Gorakhpur, then Maligaon or Guwahati and Jaipur, and then Sikandrabad, then Kolkata, Bilaspur, Hubli, then Mumbai, then Jabalpur. So take it as an assignment and locate all these in the maps and be thorough with the railway zones and the headquarters. Okay. So here there is no logic, it is only the hard work. We have to revise again and again and remember. And if UPSC doesn't ask a question, there is no loss in that. So we will get so many hints with the map works if you do this exercise. Then come to next, the major ports and their types. So we have the Chennai, which is an artificial port. So mark it as important. And then the Ennore, it is the corporatized port. And then the Calcutta riverine port. So we know that the Hooghly River. And then Kandla, it is a tidal port. So Kolkata is not a tidal port. So Kandla is a tidal port. And Kolkata is famously called a riverine port. And then the JNPT, Jawaharlal Nehru. So that is again an artificial port. And it is the largest container port in India. And then Paradip, it is natural harbor. Friends, apart from whatever is being mentioned as artificial, all others are the natural harbors. And then here we can locate the Kandla port, Mumbai, then JNPT, Mormagaon, then Mangalore and Cochin, and Tuticorin, then Karaikal, and then Chennai, then Ennore, then Kuttapalli, then Krishnapatnam, then Kakinada, then Gangavaram, then Vizag, Paradip, Haldia and Kolkata. And some other facts given in NCERT. So here we have Vadinar has been developed to reduce the pressure at the Kandla port. So this Vadinar is very nearer to Kandla port and we can remember likewise. Then Mumbai is the biggest port of country. So but obvious we know that. Then the JNPT was developed as a satellite port to relieve the pressure at the Mumbai port and it is the largest container port. We have discussed this fact but also remember this, it is a satellite port. And then Kochi port situated at the head of Vembanad Kayal or the Vembanad Lake, popularly known as the Queen of the Arabian Sea. So mark this as important. Kochi port is called the Queen of Arabian Sea. Then Visakhapatnam port in Andhra Pradesh is a landlocked port connected by the sea by a channel. So it is not directly connected to the sea, it is connected by a channel. So mark this, it is a landlocked harbor. So these are some of the facts regarding the ports. And then the India's agricultural exports. So here I have a data here and friends. So whichever are exported more, so that is provided in the table. The highest one stands with the rice other than basmati, that is the non-basmati rice is majorly exported product and that is the highest exported product in India. And the second comes the basmati rice and the third is the buffalo meat and fourth is the sugar cane. So mark this as the fourth rank. And then comes cotton and then castor oil and others. So if you remember the first five, so that is more than sufficient. And here apart from rice, the wheat, then millets, pulses, so all those things will not come in the first five. So they will be present in the 8th and 9th. So we can see 10th is groundnut and then the fresh vegetables come. So all those, wheat is in the 15th rank here. So these are some facts regarding India's agri export. So India with 3.1% share in the global agri exports replaced New Zealand as the largest exporters across the globe. Friends, this ranking will be changing, but remember 3.1%. So it is difficult to change this one. Then this achievement is mainly contributed to the sizable share in the export of rice, cotton, soybeans and meat. And then India is one of the largest producers as well as exporters of cereal products in the world. So we have barley, wheat, rice, etc. So these are cereals and India exports this to the largest extent. And then the major export destinations of wheat is Nepal, Bangladesh, and UAE. And then we have the major destinations for the non-basmati rice. So here Nepal and others. Friends, we have discussed Nepal itself is the largest exporter of basmati rice. So that is why for the non-basmati rice, Nepal becomes the destination. And for the basmati rice, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Iraq. So they are the major destinations. And then India is also the third largest cotton exporter and the fourth largest importer in 2019. So here that means India exports one quality of cotton and it also imports some other qualities of cotton. So these are some of the facts. And then come to next. The large area certification scheme. So Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare under Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana has launched this unique quick certification program to harness these potential areas. And under this LAC, each village in the area is considered as one cluster or a group. So here friends, if the farmers, if they comply with some basic rules, so they will get this organic farming certificate and whatever crops they sell after that, so they will be having an added advantage for that. And here, all the farmers with their farmland and livestock need to adhere to the standard requirements and on being verified, they get certified en masse without the need to go under the conversion period. So they need not try individually and they need not undergo the long procedures and they need not wait as well. So quickly they get the organic certification and certification is renewed on the annual basis. So as per the process of PGS India. So this is the body which certifies. And then around 14,000 hectares of Andaman and Nicobar. So that has already got the certification under this large area certification scheme. So here friends, the ownership rights are not given. So it is only that organic farming certification is being given. So remember that and that they will get only if they comply to some minimum rules. So that is more than sufficient if you understand properly. Then the UN Food Systems Summit. So the United Nations Secretary General called for the first ever UN Food Systems Summit in 2021. And this seeks to strategize the actions for positive change in the agri-food systems in the world to realize the vision of 2030 Agenda of Sustainable Development. And the term food system refers to constellation of activities involved in producing, processing and transporting and consumption of food. So here, starting from sanitary and phytosanitary activities, ecological factors in agriculture, and then the food adulteration. So all these are included when we speak of the food system. And then the health of our food systems profoundly affect the health of our bodies and as well as our environment and economies as well. And coming to more facts, the need for this UN Food Summit. So various challenges in food and related systems have further added to the need for reorienting our actions and strategies beyond specific cropping or farming systems to entire agri-food systems that is covering production, distribution and consumption. So throughout the supply chain, we have to make sure that the food system is made secure and safe so that we will not blame each other. Rather, we will have a foolproof system. So this is all about the UN Food Systems Summit. And then the Coastal Fisheries Initiative Challenge Fund, that is the global knowledge competition. So here the Coastal Fisheries Initiative is a collaborative global effort funded by the Global Environment Facility. So remember the GEF is funding the CFI program and this program is conducting this global knowledge competition. And this competition ensures that coastal fisheries can continue to play their crucial role in society, then contributing to the food security as well as the economic and social development. And the Challenge Fund, a child project under the CFI program led by the World Bank, aims to engage business and finance community in support for more productive and sustainable coastal fisheries. So remember here we have two schemes. One is the CFI program which is funded by GEF and that is conducting the global knowledge competition right now. And the same CEF is being tied up with the World Bank and that has come up with this challenge fund. And this challenge fund that focuses on the concrete business ideas and other innovative solutions for sustainable fisheries. So here remember again the GEF and the CFI and the CFI partnering World Bank to come up with the challenge fund. And also remember the global knowledge competition. Then come to next the project for the crop production forecasting. So Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare is funding various projects for crop production and forecasting. And here we have two schemes. One is the Fasal scheme that is forecasting agriculture output using space, agrometeorology and the land-based observation. And FASL is used for crop production forecasting of the field crops. So on the field, prediction is being made. And 9 crops were assessed under the FASL. So these are rice, wheat, tur, then rabi pulses, and then rapeseed and mustards, then rabi jawar, and then cotton, jute, sugarcane, etc. So all these 9 you need not remember. Just remember what is this FASL and the full form of this. And then we have Chaman Scheme, that is coordinated horticulture assessment and management using geoinformatics. So this is specific to horticulture. So Chaman issued for crop production forecasting in horticulture crops, and 7 crops assessed under Chaman project are potato, onion, tomato, then chili, mango, banana and citrus. And in both the projects, the ISRO has played a major role in developing methodologies. So but obvious, we have the space antennas and informatics being used. So ISRO will have a major role. Then currently the programs are being operationalized by Mahalanobis National Crop Forecast Center of the Department of Agriculture with the support from ISRO. So remember the Mahalanobis Center and then the ISRO and Department of Agriculture. Then government is using satellite based estimates for planning and decision making purposes with respect to storage, pricing and import and export of agriculture commodities, and also for drought assessment and then other applications of Fasal Bima Yojana, then for the rice intensification scheme. So for all these, the space-based data is being used, and the Kisan project launched by the Ministry of Agriculture carried out 6 pilot studies for evaluating the role of satellite technology in the crop yield estimation. So here overall remember that the ISRO is taking part and the satellite technology is being used and the space data is used. And also remember the Fasal and Chaman. Then come to next, the agri photovoltaic. So as the name suggests, agri photovoltaic means so we are growing the crops and also we are harnessing solar energy in the middle. And the voltaic system enables farmers to generate solar energy and the cash crops on the same farmland simultaneously. And here the solar panels placed above the crops create a microclimatic condition by providing shade. And this lowers the rate of evaporation and consequently lowers the demand for water for the crops. And then according to Kishan Urja Suraksha Uttam Mahabhiyan, that is according to the Kusum scheme, there is a defined provision for installation of an agri-voltaic system between the range of 500 kilowatts to 2 million watts. So this is formidable one. So feasibly we can install this much of power harnessing capacity in the field. And then the National Solar Energy Federation of India recently documented almost 13 functional agri-voltaics in India. So almost 13 agri-photovoltaics has been already implemented. And here it is like the solar cells will give the shade and at the same time they will also harness energy. So this is all about agri-photovoltaic. It is a very simple concept. Then come to next, the National Mission on Edible Oils. So the objectives of this mission, so to achieve self-reliance in edible oil. Friends, recently we know that the vegetable oil prices, they hiked like anything. So in that context, Government of India came up with these schemes and harness domestic edible oil prices that are dictated by expensive palm oil imports. So this National Mission on Oil Palm will also reduce the palm oil import and then to raise the domestic production of palm oil by 3 times, that is up to 11 lakh metric ton by 2025-26. So remember this target, 11 lakh metric ton by 2025-26. And then the features of the scheme, that is special emphasis is given to India's northeastern states and also to Andaman and Nicobar Islands due to conducive weather conditions in these regions. So this oil palm is going to be concentrated majorly in the northeast and Andaman and Nicobar. Then under the scheme, oil palm farmers will be provided financial assistance and will get remuneration under a price and validity formula. So they will be given the loans and also some remunerations. So here the cultivators of oil palm will be given the loans and also some remunerations like the minimum support price or some subsidies or others. Then come to next, the Ministry of Heavy Industries launched 6 technology innovation platforms. So many platforms are being taken up so that the technological R&D happens, discussions and debates happen. So that is the only thing. And here remember, the Ministry of Heavy Industry has launched it. So not any others. Now the Government of India has launched 6 technology innovative platforms for development of technologies for globally competitive manufacturing in India. So that means, so all these are helping in the competitive manufacturing sector. Then the platforms were launched under the Ministry of Heavy Industries and the Public Enterprises. So but obvious, and then these platforms will help in bringing all the India's technological resources and the concerned industry to one platform. And then it will also kickstart and facilitate identification of technological problems faced by domestic industry and also to crowdsource the solutions for the same. So basically it is a think tank. So 6 think tanks are being set up and these are online think tanks. So that is why the name the technological platforms. And then this will facilitate the development of mother manufacturing technologies. So some basic solutions or say we can say some mothers of solutions can be taken up. So that means we will have some ready-made solutions for various commonly occurring problems day to day. Then the platforms are being developed by the IIT Madras and then Central Manufacturing Technology Institute, then International Center for Automotive Technology and then Automotive Research Association of India, then the BHEL and the HMT in association with IISc Bangalore. So again take it as an assignment. See the brief descriptions of all these institutes. So these are some of the topics for today. Then coming to the last part, friends, do not neglect the statistics. So statistics are the ones which are very much necessary for the policy formulation and implementation. So if you want to become a good bureaucrat, if you want to become a good advisor, or if you want to become a good leader for that matter, so you should have a good statistics in your hand and that database that will help you so that no one will be excluded once you come up with a welfare scheme. And the minimum inclusion and exclusion errors can make the best schemes in the world. So start from the very beginning itself. So have a very good database and come up with good policies for the people of India in future. So all the very best from my side. Good luck, friends.